How does a company's profit turn into actual cash in your pocket? Today, we're going to follow the money, step by step, from the boardroom all the way to the bank account. Let's kick things off with a pretty staggering number, over $64 million. That's how much cash one company, Indo Tambangraya Megah, we'll call them ITMG, just decided to hand over to its owners.
This all came out in an official corporate filing, but, it makes you wonder, how exactly does a number on a spreadsheet become cold, hard cash for shareholders? Let's break it all down.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll start with where the decision was made, then we'll crunch the numbers, walk through the absolutely crucial dates, and finally, we'll get into what a payout like this really means. So, it all starts with a pretty formal event, the Annual General Meeting of Shareholders, or what's known as the AGMs. So, back on April 17, 2026, ITMG held this meeting, and this was the moment where the shareholders themselves got to vote on what to do with all the profits the company made in 2025.
And wow, did they vote in favor? With a massive, near-unanimous 99.65% approval, they made it official. A huge chunk of those profits was going to be distributed as a cash dividend.
Okay, so a payout that big, where did all that cash actually come from? To really get that, we've got to look at the math behind the decision.
It all started with the company's fantastic performance. I mean, look at this. They booked over $190 million in net profit for the 2025 fiscal year. That's the pool of money they had to work with.
And from that big pool of profit, the shareholders gave the green light for a 60% payout ratio. Now, this right here, this is the core decision every profitable company has to make. In this case, 60% is going right back to the investors, while that other 40%, that gets kept as retained earnings. Basically, money to plow back into the business and fuel future growth. Now, what's interesting here is that this $64.5 million, it's actually the final dividend for the year. See, they already paid out an interim dividend earlier. So when you add it all together, the total dividend for 2025 was over $114 million.
All right, now we get to what is probably the most critical part for any investor, and honestly, the part that trips a lot of people up, the timeline. Knowing these dates is everything, because they determine who actually gets paid.
It's a great question, right? You might think, hey, I own the stock, so I get the money. But it's not quite that simple. There's a very specific schedule you absolutely have to know.
First up is the cum dividend date. The easiest way to think about this, it's like the cutoff to get your name on the guest list for the payout party. If you buy the stock on or before this day, you're in.
Then literally, the very next day, you have the ex-dividend date. X just means without. If you buy the stock on this day or any day after, you've missed the boat for this particular payment. The person who sold you the shares gets the dividend, not you.
And this timeline just lays it all out perfectly. You've got the cum date, that's your last day to qualify, the X date, when the stock starts trading without that dividend value, then the company takes a sort of snapshot on the record date to finalize its list of shareholders. And finally, on the payment date, cha-ching, the cash actually gets distributed.
Okay, so we've got the meeting, the math, the dates, but beyond all that, what does an announcement like this really tell us? What's the bigger picture for investors?
Well, a consistent cash dividend is often seen as a really strong signal of a company's financial health and stability. It's basically the company saying, hey, we're not just profitable enough to run our business, we're profitable enough to reward our investors directly.
So what are the big takeaways from all this? First, dividends are a direct cash return on your investment, plain and simple. Second, that payout schedule we just went through is absolutely critical. Timing is everything. And third, remember the money that isn't paid out? That's just as important. It's being reinvested for future growth. Now, the good news is these payouts are usually automated right into your brokerage account. The not so good news? Don't forget, that income is often taxable.
So let's bring this all together with one final crucial thought.
This line right here from the official meeting minutes is just as important as the dividend itself. It highlights that fundamental choice every profitable company makes. How much do we reward our shareholders now versus how much do we reinvest for a bigger and better tomorrow?
So that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? When a company announces a dividend, is it telling you more about its success in the past, or is it a statement about its confidence in the future? It's probably a little of both. And it's definitely something to think about the next time you see a major payout headline. Thanks for joining this explainer.